And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and I'm ready to talk to you about Scarlett, issue number 1 from Image Comics and Skybound from the Energon universe. Let me set this back. As you know, I am a huge G.I. Joe fan, and Scarlett is such a cool character in G.I. Joe lore, has a lot of connections to other characters, namely Snake Eyes from the comics and Duke from the cartoon. So the cool thing though about Scarlett is that she is a character that kind of she stands on her own, even though she's connected to those very popular GI Joe guys. She was a standout character in every form of GI Joe that we've seen. That has had her in it. She in a certain run in IDW, she was leading the GI Joe team. She's a very independent and solo character that just like you can match her up against any GI Joe character, male or female, and she stands out. So it was really cool to get the announcement that we were going to get this series. And this is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Marco Ferrari. And this was a fantastic first issue to introduce us to this version of Scarlett in the Energon universe, the shared universe with Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Void Rivals. So far, we just finished the Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries. We have Destro coming up next. And right now, we just got the first issue of Scarlett, and I read it yesterday, and it was a phenomenal read for me. Now, I'm a fan of Kelly Thompson's writing. I don't love everything, but I don't hate anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's the things that I really like that Kelly Thompson has written kind of blow me out of the water. They're just really good books, really well written. Black Widow, West Coast Avengers, certain parts of the Captain Marvel run, various other things that I've read from Kelly Thompson I really like. The stuff that hasn't grabbed me quite as much, I still enjoy it. I still read it. I still like it. I just don't love it. So I knew going into this, based on the stuff that I've read and the kind of characters that I've read from Kelly Thompson, I knew I was going to like this. Plus, I'm a G.I. Joe fan. Anything G.I. Joe, I'm usually going to like. There's very little G.I. Joe comic stuff that I have not liked. I can like kind of narrow it down to one or two things that I really didn't care for during the IDW days. But I won't go into all that. But Scarlett is, like I said, she's a character that has this rich history in the comics, maybe even in the TV show. I don't remember. She was like the only girl of a bunch of kids that were all brothers. They were all older brothers, and she kicked all their tails. She was like a black belt in multiple martial arts, and she had this on again, off again thing with Snake Eyes, but she was very independent and she could hold her own. And she challenged authority whenever she needed to. There was even episodes of the cartoon, I think, where she went up against Destro, different things like that. So she's just a really powerful, really strong character. And I appreciate that she's finally getting a solo spotlight here because she's never gotten that before, really. Like I said, she did lead a team in a run in the IDW. It was kind of when I think, if I'm remembering correctly, in that universe, that take on the universe, it was the IDW universe, not not the Real American Hero one. She was leading the team when Cobra had taken over, and it was kind of a covert ops version of the team that was they were kind of disavowed. They weren't supposed to be together and all this stuff, and she was kind of starting a revolution basically to kind of set things right again, if I remember correctly. I could be mixing up books here, but that's kind of what I remember. And that was the first little bit of seeing like a little bit of a spotlight for Scarlett. But what Kelly Thompson has done in this book she's made Scarlett truly a standout character here, because she goes into this book as a super spy, very Black Widow-esque, but for the U.S. government, obviously. And she's immediately, right off the bat, defiant. And not defiant in a bad way, like I'm going to rebel, but much like Duke was in his series. If she felt like there was an order that wasn't what she felt she needed to do to save lives, to protect, her own and everything. She was going to disregard it and deal with the consequences later. And in this case, it was rescuing some hostages that were their people. So I appreciated that, and her skills shown, like, I mean, just so much in this book, whereas she was taking out everyone left and right. And you can say it's unbelievable, but she's a super spy, right? She's a super spy. She's very skilled. She's very good at what she does. Um, and she has ties to like all these characters, and there's a reason why GI Joe has always been considered an elite team. Like, some people just kind of don't understand that this is like the best of the best of the best. The GI Joe team takes specialists from every branch of military and combines them to form this super military force, right? So it's your top notch Navy SEALs, your top notch Marines, your top notch Green Berets, and so on and so forth. It's like the echelon of military expertise. Plus, these characters have deeper lore, deeper connections, deeper training. They've been trained in different various ways. Like in this book, we reference the Arashikage clan, which is the clan that Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes come from. We find out that she has ties to them through Jinx, which I'll talk about in a minute, and also another character trained there as well. So just a lot of deep expertise, deep skills, deep learning, deep training that these characters go through. And while we didn't learn a whole lot about Scarlett, the character in here, you got the impression of who she is. She's just a bad A military operative that doesn't back down to anyone, and she will do whatever she feels is the right thing to do in the given situation, and she can handle her own against anybody. And that's the Scarlett that we got in this book. Plus, she's a very interesting character because we got glimpses into her relationship with Jinx, how they were roommates and how they cared for each other. And she references them as almost like sisters, maybe a little bit more, I don't know yet, but we see a glimpse into the softer side of Scarlett here, as well, as they're trying to take care of plants. She's not very good at it, that whole kind of thing. Just a little bit of slice of life mixed into this high level covert ops operation, and kind of the recruiting into the GI Joe team, as it were, that we kind of see in this issue. And I mentioned Jinx. I love the connection to Jinx because she is also a member of the Arashikage clan, and she was introduced in the mid '80s cartoon GI Joe movie, and it created a new toy line. And that's what they did. It was Falcon and Jinx and Law and Order and Chuckles. There were a couple of others, I believe, but those Tunnel Rat, those were the main standouts that I recall. That were introduced in that movie, and Jinx was one of them. And she, in the movie, if you've ever seen the cartoon movie, she was training with a blind master, and she had the blindfold on, and she was learning martial arts that way. Here we see her with the hard master. If you're familiar with any of the GI Joe lore, the Arashikage clan has different masters: hard master, soft master, blind master, and you learn from each one of them to perfect your martial arts skills in their I forget what it's called, but their type of martial art. And so it was just cool to see that character not just come into the mix, but also have this history with Scarlett, because we, like I said, so often see Scarlett tied into a history with other male characters of GI Joe. Again, she was with Duke in the cartoon. She was with Snake Eyes in the comics, the Real American Hero comics. And here she's standing on her own, and she's got these other connections that tie her into this world. We also see another Arashikage clan member come up. But this issue was, like I said, it was a spy mission. It started off with her in the preview pages that you've seen me show throughout this video. It shows her like wading through the water, gearing up and then like sneaking into this heavily guarded location to try to gain information and find out where the hostages are held so she can rescue them and everything. So, and then again, we go into those quieter moments. So it feels like, okay, so this is only a mini series, but it feels like within the scope of this mini series, we're going to get kind of a really good balance of that super high level action, that those spy ops and everything, the introduction to her part in the GI Joe team, a little bit more about the Arashikage clan as she tries to infiltrate that, and then flashbacks to those slice of life moments to kind of tell the story and fill in the gaps of her life before all this, or maybe it was during this, but her connections to various individuals. So really strong start to this book. The art is really beautiful. As you can see, the cover artist on this cover that's on the screen right now did the interior art as well, and it's in all the preview pages that have been shown as well. Just a really nice, fluid, kind of a softer style, but it really lends itself to the story that's being told here. The flashbacks are beautifully colored as well. In this, not really sepia, but it's kind of a faded style to differentiate between the present day and the flashbacks. So almost like a yellowy tint over everything. So I don't know, it was just a really good issue. Everything from the Energon universe so far has been really good. As a huge GI Joe fan, I'm really enjoying the GI Joe side of it, and I'm loving the way that they've kind of broken down the kind of the history, the origins of both GI Joe and Cobra, and started focusing on these individual characters, which we did not get to see a lot in any other version of G.I. Joe. Sure, in the cartoon, we would get like a solo episode of this character or that character. There was the mainframe episode where he connected with Zorana. There was the shipwreck episode. Different episodes that focus on different characters. In the comics, we would do like storylines that kind of focus heavily on a character's personal journey here and there. Like there was a lot of Clutch and Rock and Roll stuff back in the early days. There was a lot of Snake Eyes and Scarlett stuff throughout the book. So certain characters would get that, but not all characters. And we never got like these rich origins of these top tier first tier roster classic GI Joe characters like Cobra Commander, Destro, Scarlett, Duke, etc. So it's really nice to see how these characters' journey started in this version of the universe, which as a lifelong GI Joe fan, I will say that so far all three of these series that we've seen have definitely paid homage to everything that's come before. They have tapped into the core of each of these characters and the strongest part of their origins and their base personalities and given us that, but they've taken it to another level, adding just a little bit more edge to them and kind of giving them even more character development than we've seen in other places. And that's not to disregard anything that the legend Larry Hama has done with the Real American Hero run, because I absolutely love that run. That is like one of my favorite comics of all time. It's one of my, I always like kind of pride myself on there's a handful of runs that I will never part with. And my G.I. Joe run from that original Marvel run is one of those, and actually continued into the IDW run and now into the Skybound run. So I definitely appreciate everything that has come before and all the history that we've seen on these characters. But I also appreciate what Skybound is doing with these characters and the talent that they're bringing in a Joshua Williamson and a Kelly Thompson, for example, to flesh out these characters and tell a new story with these classic, iconic characters. So I think this was off to a great start. I loved it from start to finish. There was no nitpicks whatsoever. I don't even care about any changes to her history and the connections and all this stuff, because I love seeing this character spotlighted. I don't think this character was given justice in the live action movie. Of course, not a lot of characters were. And here, I think this is the Scarlett that we deserve to see, and the Scarlett that we need to learn more about. So I appreciate the creative team behind this, and I love that Skybound has taken a chance on this character. And this particular book was like, if I'm not mistaken, like the most sold pre-sold, pre-ordered, whatever GI Joe book in history. It was like crazy numbers, especially for these days, on this book. So it was a very anticipated book, and for good reason, because it was just fantastic. So if you have not tried the GI Joe side of the Energon universe, if you're a GI Joe fan, or if you're just trying to get into it, especially with this out, just hit my hand on the desk, especially with this book, because I feel like this one, you didn't need to know a whole lot of history. You just need to know, oh, hey, these are ninjas. Hey, this person is eventually a GI Joe character. You didn't really need to know a lot, because I think Kelly Thompson did a really good job of just kind of sprinkling in a little bit of the history. Duke was kind of the same way. I didn't feel like you needed to know a whole lot. I know some people disagree with that. Cobra Commander, a little bit more steeped in the lore with the Cobra Law stuff and everything. So I understand that one being a little bit harder to jump into. But I think the next choice of characters with Scarlett and Destro are going to be a lot easier introduction to. So, and I'm really curious to see how they go about Destro and his family history and the building up of the Mars Corporation and all that stuff. But as far as Scarlett goes, I think this was a fantastic book. I would give this top ratings right now. I haven't read all my books, but right now this is holding the top spot for my books of the week. So yeah, I really loved it, and I hope you get to check it out. Scarlett issue 1, and this has been a fun discussion, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my take. I'm gushing a little bit because I'm just fanboying out about the GI Joe stuff, because anytime this franchise gets revived and gets a fresh coat of paint on it, I'm excited. Again, it's not always done justice, but so far, Skybound has, they won me over completely, wholeheartedly, 100%. I love everything they're doing with the Energon universe. But with all that said, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel, and I really do appreciate it. It really does, give me warm feelings to carry me out through the day when I see those likes. And drop a comment. Please drop a comment, because I love interacting with all of you. I love talking about comics with everyone. I won't gush about all the books, but you bring G.I. Joe into the equation, and I just, there it is. There's a smile on my face. Anyway, also, if you'd like to see more content like this and my Friday First series and my shorts and so forth, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss any of the content going up on this channel. You can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics. And of course, if you type in onlygoodcomics.com, it'll take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care and keep reading those comics.